Topper'sTest में आपका स्वागत है। आज हम पढ़ेंगे of the Constitution. What is Constitution? Meaning of Constitution is from the Latin word constituere, that means to establish or set. So what is Constitution on a broader term? Is set of principle for government. So what is tell about government is working and how will be a government will be organized. So, what other name of the constitution is fundamental law of the land, the most important law, supreme law of the land, basic law of the land, instrument of the government, rules of the state, basic structure of polity, and ground norms of the country. Okay, so this is law organizing government. This is one thing, and power distribution between government. This is another thing, and general principle for power to exercise. So, how will be the power? How will power be the exercise? It will also be told by constitution, and this is a special legal. So it is a very sacred document. So legal sanctity has to be there, and this is a framework principle for the government and polity of a state or a nation. So another thing is it also tells form of the state and how who and how will be the organs of the state be organized, and it establish and regulate government and government. So all these the basic thing is about it tells about the philosophy of how a state will be organized and how will be the relationship between the various organs of the state. And so now if we see so, what will be the function of constitution? That is, it tells about political community, that is the boundary and nature and authority of the constitution. And what it tells about, it tells other thing about the national community, identity and values. It tells about identity and values of a national community. And what it tells other thing about that rights and duties of who rights and duty of whom it tells citizens and states. It also tells about how will be the political institutions that legislature, executive, and judiciary will be regulated, and it also divides the power of a government. And the most important thing nowadays, when the religion has taken the central idea of the debate and discussion when the politics comes into the picture. So constitution has to tell about the religious identity of the state. Another thing is that it has to tell about the goal, what constitution or the constitution makers. Other things are the qualities of the constitution, that it must be brave, it must be having brevity, that is the precision. So it must and clarity. It must have clarity, definiteness. That means it should not be ambiguous in such a way that it becomes the interpretation becomes different for the different people. And it should be comprehensive. Comprehensive means detailed in such a manner that it is very much understandable. Okay, it should be suitable to the socio-cultural, political environment of the country. It should be suitable, and it must give the stability. The state it must provide the stability to the state. How it will be provided? Provide the stability. It will provide the stability with respect to the organ of the government and setup of the government, and also by the suitability with respect to the environment, cultural environment it is having, and it should be adaptable with time and place. Spatio, temporal adaptability should be there. Like in India, we have 371 article and we have 5th schedule, 6th schedule. So it is for the spatial adaptation of the constitution for the different places. And temporal with time we have constitution amendment procedure under Article 368. So another thing we are having the classification. So constitution has been classified on basis of many things, that it may be evolved or it may be enacted. Enacted means there will be a body. There will be a body which will frame constitution and enact, like it will be voted upon by different members of a assembly. It may be political assembly, constitutional assembly. Mainly it is by the constitutional assembly. So if it is evolved like it is added upon, then mostly it is unwritten. It is also called cumulative constitution, and it is example is we have this type of constitution in Britain. So it is through convention and judicial decisions. And another example we have is enacted. Enacted is like voted upon. So it is made by mostly Constitutional Assembly, mostly or almost in every cases. So so it is also called conventional constitution. India is having this conventional constitution, and USA is also having this conventional constitution. Another classification is written, codified, or documentary. So USA, Canada, and Japan and France are having this written constitution, and India is also having. So we also have this unwritten, non-documentary constitution. So Britain, another again we have this example, and differences between unwritten and written constitution are same as in enacted and evolved constitution. So next, resident flexible. So amendment. This classification is based on amendment procedure. So in rigid, it must have special procedure, and in flexible it is no special procedure. The procedure uh, will be equivalent to what is there for normal ordinary legislations. So India is having synthesis. India is synthesis of both rigid and flexible. Another classification is based on is called federal unity. It is based upon the relationship between national government and regional governments. Okay. So we have two words here. Federal. Federal means the regional government. Like in India, we have state government. Like we have government of UP, and we have government of India. So that the government of UP is here regional government. So in pure federal structure, regional government will be purely independent. There will be no control of, almost no control of the national or central government. In unitary structure, the regional government will be subordinate to the national government. Classification is procedural and prescriptive. So it is based on what constitution wants and prescribe. So procedural is like nature and purpose. It is based on nature and purpose. So, what is nature? So, procedural will have a structural based the political order. Political structure based constitution is procedural constitution, and prescriptive means the goal based. There will be a goal; it has to be achieved. For a constitutional structure, constitution would like to be that to be achieved by government. So now we have on our plate is constitution and constitutional governments. So if there is constitutional, it does not mean that constitutionalism will be there necessarily or will not be there. So in both the cases, if the constitution is there, constitutionalism can be there and cannot be there. So for example, a country with a dictator and with the constitution, so it is having constitution, but constitutionalism is not there. So dictatorship with a constitution is that type of example. So what the constitution gives? Constitution gives power to government, but what a constitutionalism gives is the limited power of on the government. So constitutional government is the democratic government, and the another statement which is very important from the perspective prelims is arbitrary power through the constitution is not constitutionalism. So if a dictator gets the arbitrary and unlimited power through the constitution, through the legal means, through the voting and all the procedure established given in the constitution, does not mean that it is having the constitutionalism. So the civilized type of power, so limited government with respect to power is constitutionalism. It's very important. So another thing we have, some definitions. Constitutionalism is actually, so in broader areas you will find in Laxmikanth the many paragraphs. So in every paragraph there are two or three lines, or the meaning of all the paragraphs will be directed toward these things we are about to discuss. Limited or restrain on government. There will be limited government, and there will be restrain on government uh, by law. So by law, there will be restraint and limit on government, not by the desire and capacity. What does that mean? That means it is not like that we are considering someone so true and so good that we are at the whims and fancy of that person, that we are considering that person will not do harm to us. That's why we are giving him or her an unlimited power. It should not be there. We are limiting the anyone in the power by the law, not by his own desire or the capacity. So the constitutional government is antithesis of arbitrary rules. So arbitrary rules, it is the opposite of the arbitrary rules, the constitutional government. So what are the elements in the constitutional government? There must be popular sovereignty, mostly with the people, and there must be rules of law, and there must be democracy. So what is democracy? That in democracy the government or elected people are responsible and accountable to the people who are electing them, and there is separation of power with checks and balances, and the judiciary should be independent, and there must be civilian control over military, and same the control over the police must be with the law and judiciary. And another thing, that the most important thing in democracy are like individual rights must be respected. The philosophy uh, philosophy of power and constitutionalism is constitution in action. So in spirit constitutionalism, spirit of constitution will be there. So what among the constitution and constitutionalism derives more democratic processes, constitutionalism. The constitutionalism is more important than the constitution. Obviously, the foundation of constitutionalism is based on the constitution. But when the spirit of constitution does work, there will be constitution. So, constitution tells us about, you know, organs of the states, organs of the government or the state. So, in most of the states, there are three organs of the state: legislature, executive, and judiciary. So there are three pillars of a state, and in democratic state there will be constitution defining the boundaries and the power and share division of the power between these three organs of the state. So in constitutionalism, all three are bound by the constitution, and all three are having the limited power. That is the constitution.
अगर आपको कोई भी टॉपिक समझ में नहीं आ रहा है तो कमेंट बॉक्स में टाइप करके हमें बताएं। हम आपको वो टॉपिक सिंप्लीफाई करके वीडियो के माध्यम से यूट्यूब से आप तक पहुंचाएंगे। थैंक यू।